Good afternoon. So, recite some prayers before teaching. The Heart of Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. I prostrate to the higher triple gem. Thus did I hear at one time. The Bhagavan was dwelling on the mass of Voucher's mountain in Rajagir, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perceptions. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara: how should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activities of profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra: Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activities of profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristics, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element, and so on, up to and including no mind element, and no mental conscious element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly, completely awakened to the unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as the truth, since it's not false. The mantra of perfection of wisdom is declared: Jayata Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhisoha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan, having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, those surrounding in their entirety along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Take refuge, generate bodhicitta. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. So, do a short meditation to calm our mind before we start to listen to the teaching. So please sit in the meditation posture. Make sure that your backbone is straight and just stay relaxed. And rest your attention on your breath. That means becoming aware of your breathing. Just allow your body to breathe naturally without forcing. But each time when your body breathes in, you should be aware that your body is breathing in. And each time when your body breathes out, you should also be fully aware that you are breathing out. So in this way, as you breathe in, you are aware that you are breathing in. As you breathe out, you are aware that you are breathing out. So breathing in, I'm aware. Breathing out, I'm aware. And simply allow your attention to rest in this manner without being distracted by thoughts or any other emotion or fall into mental thinking. Stay relaxed and keep your awareness fully alert of each in and out breath. Now that the mind is settling down, so we do some reflection, thinking that in this life, we are very fortunate to be born as a human with all the conditions, the 8 freedoms and the 10 endowments, the conditions that is most suitable for us to practice the Buddha Dharma. Since now we possess these 8 freedoms and 10 endowments, then we should not simply waste our life just doing merely mundane activities. Rather, we should use this life in the most meaningful way. And the most meaningful way for us to live our life is to use it to benefit others. While there are many ways to benefit others, the best way would be to be able to help others move away from the suffering and experience happiness. Not only happiness for this life, but if we can help them to also experience happiness for all their future lives, and ultimately to experience the happiness of liberation, completely free from all suffering, that will be so wonderful. However, we may wish to help others in this way, but at the moment, we do not have the capability, we do not have the skills to truly benefit others. One of the main obstacles that we are not able to benefit others properly or perfectly is our grasping of this I, this self. By having this ignorance, thinking that there is a self or an inherently existing I, when we grasp on to this concept, with this I standing right in the center of our awareness, then eventually, whatever things we try to do to help others, it is always obstructed by this I or this self. So in order to truly benefit others, we ourselves have to transcend this ignorance. We ourselves have to attain the fully enlightened state of Buddhahood. It is only when we ourselves attain this Buddhahood, only then we can truly and perfectly benefit all sentient beings. So with this thought or aspiration in mind, think that in order for me to be able to truly benefit others, I myself must first attain Buddhahood. And for that purpose, I'm here today to listen to the profound teachings of the Buddha in order to attain full and complete enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. This is the most meaningful way for us to live our life, And this is the motivation why we are gathered here today to listen to these teachings of the Buddha. So in this way, adjust motivation. So today is the fourth session of our very short course on understanding dependent origination. So a very quick review of some of the slides that were covered last week. We have been talking about intrinsic existence and things being devoid of intrinsic existence. So here, Buddha said, whatsoever depends on conditions, that is devoid of intrinsic existence. Here, what Buddha says is that whatever things that has to depend on conditions to come about, to arise, that thing, since it has to depend on conditions, has to depend on other external factors to be present before it can come about. That particular thing is devoid of intrinsic existence. That means that thing lacks the capability of being existing on its own. Intrinsic means on its own, by its own nature. So anything that we examine and find that it has to depend on other things in order to come about, that particular thing, we say that it is devoid of intrinsic existence. This is a very important statement. And also, further Buddha said, since no phenomena exists other than origination through dependence, no phenomena exists other than being devoid of intrinsic existence. So the first verse here says that whatever that depends on condition to arise, it is devoid of intrinsic existence. That is the platform. Then Buddha said further, everything on planet Earth, everything in the universe comes about through dependence. There's nothing that exists other than coming about through interdependence. So since no phenomena exists other than origination through dependence, therefore, because of this, then you can draw the conclusion, you can come to the conclusion that no phenomena exists other than being devoid of intrinsic existence. That means because of this, because everything comes about having to be dependent on something else, therefore everything does not exist on its own. Nothing in this world has the capability to be existing on its own. So far, is that clear? All right, at least some vague ideas that understand the concept behind it. Okay? Then that's the explanation. What is the meaning of devoid of intrinsic existence? I covered a little bit just now. So here, devoid of intrinsic existence means lacking of an inherently existing self. Lacking of an inherently existing self. Lacking of a self that can exist from its own side without having to depend on something else. So in other words, when we say something is devoid of intrinsic existence, we say the thing is selfless. And we call this phenomena selflessness. It has no self. Clear on that? No self means this thing that exists. When we say something that exists, we say this thing has no self. Or when we say this thing or this object is selfless, what we are saying is that it does not have inherent existence. It is not there on its own, independently. The only reason, the only way this thing can come about is having to depend on other conditions and other factors. Very important to make this very, very clear, because today's topic is talking about no I. Not no eyes, but no I, no me. The me that is so important. We're going to investigate and then have a glimpse that actually there's no I. All right? So it is important to understand the theory, so-called the theory behind it. So selflessness. Selflessness means emptiness, shunyata. Empty or lack of an inherent or intrinsic existence, not existing inherently. The words are always similar, just rearranging, but trying to emphasize, to clarify the point of what is the meaning of intrinsic existence and what is the meaning of devoid of intrinsic existence. So firstly, you must understand what is the meaning of intrinsic existence. Anything that can stand alone by itself without having to depend on anything else, that is called intrinsic existence. But Buddha already said, there's no such thing. No such thing. So, therefore, it means that everything is devoid of intrinsic existence, and therefore everything is selfless, does not have a self. Okay? So when we talk about selflessness, then what is the meaning? Last week we talked about this. Selflessness does not mean nothingness. Many people fall into this idea or this misconception when they read books on emptiness, on selflessness. Without proper understanding, they may come to the wrong conclusion that really there's no self. There's nothing there. That is a very dangerous situation. Some people has done so much study on emptiness, and the conclusion, shunyata, means in their way, which is wrong, but their wrong conclusion is that shunyata, everything is empty, there's nothing. And they find that they themselves also don't exist. So that is not correct. All right? It's extreme, called nihilism. So selflessness is not nothingness. Important to remember that. Although all things are empty of inherent existence or intrinsic existence, that means all things do not exist inherently, they are selfless, they are not nothingness. They do exist. This is like a contradiction already. On one hand, we're saying that everything is selfless, no self. Everything is empty. Everything is shunyata. Oh, empty means nothing, right? Then, here, the other statement is that they do exist. There is something there. On one hand, we're saying that there's nothing there. On the other hand, we're saying that there is something there. These 2 points, you have to make it very clear in order to not to fall into the mistake of the 2 extremes. Either mistakenly believing that everything exists solidly, or nothing exists at all. These are the 2 extremes. So things, although they are empty, they do exist. What exists? There exists a self. The word self here, last week I did explain, the word self here means some entity on its own. On its own, that's called self. Although usually when we say self, we are always talking about this person. But in general, when you say there's a self, means it is an entity that stands on its own. That's called self. So, yes, there's something there. There exists a self. Now, you notice that the word self here is not in inverted commas. Earlier part, when we use the word self, we put it in inverted commas. Here, it says, there exists a self, and this self is not inherently existing. Okay? This self, how does this self comes about? This self exists in the nature of dependent origination. Okay? Right? This is what we covered so far. So, how do phenomena exist? They come about because we say there's something there. Although we say that things do not have inherent existence, yet has no self, and yet there's something there. Something exists. How does this thing comes about? Just like this. How does this object comes about? So it says, depends on various factors, depending on causes and conditions, depending on parts and directional or spatial particles, depending on laboring by the mind, which is a mental destination, either relatively or mutually co-dependent. So that's how things come about. That's what we have been covering so far, a quick summary. Now, based on that foundation or the understanding now we're going into investigate the selflessness of the person, me. We talk about a lot, I, me. Actually, you cannot find it, okay? The wisdom of reality of existence. It says here, when selflessness is seen in object or phenomena, the seed of cyclic existence is destroyed. So you may be wondering up to this stage, selflessness seems to be like so complicated. On one hand, we say there's nothing there. On the other hand, we say there's something there. So complicated. Why bother with all this? Life already is very difficult, right? Why bother with all this sort of complication? We want life to be simple. Why bother even to understand or to study what is emptiness, what is shunyata? To us, it's either empty. If it's empty, lor. Then if it's not empty, then it's there, lor. What's so big deal about trying to learn about what is the meaning of selflessness? The reason is that if we're able to understand selflessness, if we're able to not only understand selflessness through our direct perception, if we're able to always perceive things as selfless, if we're able to reach that stage, then it has the effect of cutting the seed of cyclic existence, destroying the seed of cyclic existence. The problem why we are in samsara is because we have this seed of cyclic existence. And what is this seed of cyclic existence? It's an ignorance. This confusion that we have And what is this confusion that we have? We believe whatever we see, whatever we hear, whatever we smell, whatever we taste, whatever we touch, and whatever we think, we believe all that to be truly existing on its own side. That's a wrong belief. But somehow we believe it because of habitual tendency since beginner's time. So as long as we hold on to this belief, as long as we hold on to this confusion, we will continue to be in samsara. Meaning that this life will come to an end eventually. We will die. And after we die in this life, automatically, without any choice, we will be reborn again. And then when we are reborn in next life, that life will eventually come to an end, and again we will die, and again we will be reborn again. So this continuous cycle of birth, death, and then birth, death, that is called cyclic existence. And as long as we are trapped, as long as we are being bound in this cycle of birth, death, without any choice, we have to experience dukkha, suffering, or dissatisfaction. That is the meaning of cyclic existence. And since it is our wish, ourself, everybody's wish, to be free of suffering, to be always happy. So Buddha taught that the only way is to destroy the seed of cyclic existence. Destroy this ignorance or confusion. How do you destroy the confusion? How do you destroy this ignorance? You develop the opposite of ignorance. The opposite of ignorance is the wisdom. So the way to kill or destroy ignorance is to develop wisdom. And what is that wisdom? The wisdom that you realize is that all objects, all phenomena are selfless. Get the flow of it? The reason why we are spending time talking about selflessness. As long as we continue to hold things as inherently existing, as long as we continue to believe and to grasp that things have on their own side, have a self, that means they are an independent unit. As long as we have this confusion, we will stay in samsara. So that's the reason why we spend so much time studying about emptiness or selflessness. Not only study, but we have to do a lot of meditation on that to break through our habitual tendency of believing wrongly, but we believe that things exist on its own side. There's really something there, outside. So here, this is what I've said. The wisdom directly perceiving the way how all phenomena actually exist will lead to the elimination of ignorance of grasping the concept of true existence, which is, this grasping is the root of samsara, and therefore thus resulting in our liberation from cyclic existence. This is what I've just explained, all right? We need to develop the wisdom, not only the wisdom, but the wisdom to be able to directly perceive how things actually are. The real thing. Some years back, Coca-Cola used to use this phrase, right, for advertisement, the real thing. That actually is not the real thing. If you believe that that's the real thing, then you get cheated. You get more confused. The real thing we are talking about is, the real thing is that all phenomena are empty of inherent existence. Because when we look at Coca-Cola, and then when we look at Coca-Cola or the advertisements as the real thing, then we believe, yeah, there is this real thing. Wow, you drink already, then you become whatever they advertise. And we hold on to it, I must have. And then you go to a shop, then they don't, out of Coca-Cola, no stock, then you're so unhappy. They say, sorry, sorry uncle, no Coke, Pepsi is that way. Completely deflated. So unhappy because there's no Coke, only got Pepsi. Why? We really believe that there is such a thing as a Coke outside there, as truly existence. And therefore, on this basis, Coca-Cola is not the real thing. Okay? The real thing is empty of inherent existence. So if we are able to develop the wisdom that we can perceive, directly perceive how the Coca-Cola exists, how phenomena actually exist. And once we perceive how they actually exist, we will stop grasping on it. That means we have developed the wisdom. Then we know, okay, it's not true. It's not real. Then we let go. Once we do not grasp it, we let go. Let go means what? Liberated law. As long as you hold on to something, don't want to let go, then you are being bound by this grasping. Once you realize it is the truth, the ultimate truth, you let go. Let go of everything. Then you are liberated. And the thing we want to let go, importantly, is letting go of this me or I. Right? As long as we hold on to this I, thinking that there's a really, truly existing I, at a time in our life we create a lot of negative actions because of I. Me, I want this is mine, like this. And at the time of death, or we all have to die, yeah? Don't think that you don't have to die. It's sooner or later. It's whether you die first or I die first, that's all. But we have to die. Okay, at the time of death, because we have this innate survival instinct. This innate survival instinct is like inborn in us. Since the time we are born, we know that we want to survive, right? You can look at it, a small cat, a kitten or a puppy. They know the very moment that somebody wants to beat the puppy or the kitten, they fear, they run, right? They see some big animals, whatever it is, then they run. Why? There's innate survival instinct, which from the Buddhist point of view is an imprint which is carried on since beginner's time, from past life. So we're born just like that, right? Why do we have this fight or flight sort of instinct? It's because we believe there is an I. All right? So when things are dangerous, immediately we say, I do not want to die. That is survival instinct. Not merely dying or being hurt, but any other things. I do not want to be in this situation. Therefore, we fight, we run to survive. So this grasping of this I as truly existing at the time of death, naturally, when we are lying there, we would think, I am going to die. My life is coming to an end. I don't want to die. When we say die, it means we have to leave everything. You leave your wife, or you leave your husband, you leave your children, you leave your brothers, sisters, you leave your parents, you leave your house, you leave your Mercedes-Benz and your DBS bank account with millions of dollars inside. Everything all these things not going to follow you. And most important, you're going to leave your body. wow, this body, you spend how much time, how much money you spend on the body or not, right? Got eat health product or not? God. Health supplement, one day eat don't know how many times. Huh? Then got go facial or not? God. Got go gym or not? God. Got go exercise or not? God. Got eat good food or not? God. Everything you do is to keep this body functioning well and looking well. And now at the time of death means this is going to be gone. Fear. Although a lot of times we say, I'm not scared of dying, I'm not scared of dying. At that moment, last moment, when we're going to stop breathing, subtly it grabs, I do not want to die. The reason why we grasp is that we're grasping wrongly in our confusion. We believe that there's an I, truly existing I, and then we hold on to this, I don't want to die. And when that happens, our karma comes in. In the first session, we talked about karma. Dependent origination. Our karma comes in. Okay, we have the wish not to die. And then if we have created the karma that will throw us to the next rebirth, then you take rebirth. So whether you take rebirth as a dog or in the animal realm or in the higher realm as a god or human, you still take rebirth. And that's how, at the end of this life, when we die, because of the grasping of a truly existing I, we don't want to die, we cannot let go, then automatically you're born again, depending on your karma. Good karma, you take rebirth as human or as God. Bad karma, you go to hell or go to as an animal, whatever. But you still take rebirth. And then your new life, you start again. Your innate grasping of the I will be carried on to the next life. And next life you go through again. And at the end of next life, then you start to go through this cycle of taking rebirth. And that's how it is. So therefore, if we are able to understand the reality of lacking of inherent existence, we will not grasp at the I. As I say, the very moment you realize, actually, it's not real, then you let go. Then at the time of death, also this fear of I'm dying will not be there. And then, since you don't have the fear of dying, then you don't have the wish. You do not have the idea that I'm dying, and you will not take rebirth. Why? Causes and results. If you do not create the cause to take rebirth, you will not take rebirth. Right? So this is how we end. Remember, we also talked about the 12th link of interdependent arising. The 12th link. That's how we stop grasping. How we stop grasping? Grasping is the one that causes us to go to to stay in samsara. We stop grasping by cutting ignorance. Right? So this is the thing. So this wisdom, okay, so what is the wisdom that we need to develop? When we say we study Dharma, we need to develop wisdom. The wisdom covers the realization, the reality of what? Selflessness of the person, selflessness of phenomena. Please understand that these two are not two different selflessness. The selflessness is the same, but it's just that we want to, for instance, first starting to examine this first, and then later on examine the cup, for instance. All right. So they're the same thing. It's just that we break into two steps. Why? Person is this me. Phenomena is anything that is outside. All right. So here it says the next slide. Since it is the individual I who undergoes pleasure and pain, makes trouble, accumulates karma, analysis should begin with yourself, the I. Since all the problem comes from I, then let's look at this I first. All right? And it says here, then when you understand well how this I really is, that this person, this I, is without inherent existence, then you can extend this this way of thinking. You can extend this realization to the things you enjoy. That Coca-Cola, you look at it. Once you understand how the I lacks inherent existence, with the same method, you'll be able to look at Coca-Cola and see that it is empty. Its nature is empty of inherent existence. So then we're able to do it to the things we enjoy, that we undergo. Things we enjoy, Coca-Cola, we undergo. Means what? All the emotion. In life, a lot of up and downs. Up is no problem. Huh? We never have to go and seek help when we are all very lucky. Things are very good. When you are really in a bad situation, whether in terms of health or in terms of financial situation or relationship, this is really, really big problem, right? You see people even commit suicide because of this. So this is things we undergo. How we manage. Then you start to look at the reality. Is cancer real or not? Meaning that is cancer truly existing on its own side? Is bankruptcy real or not? Meaning that is bankruptcy truly existing on its own side? So like this, whatever that it is, or anger, or jealousy, whatever emotion that arises in our mind, we can use the same method and look at it. And then when we realize that, hey, they are just like rainbow. They come, they go. Then you will not grasp into it. You will let go. And then immediately you feel much happier, lighter. That's the immediate effect. So then you can also understand all the internal and external phenomena using the same reasoning. So there's a reason why we're going to start with I. So seeing how one phenomenon, yourself, exists, you can also know the nature of all phenomena. You learn, just like we practice Dharma, you learn one thing very well, you understand that well, you can understand all Dharma. But if you don't know how to learn, you're running around trying to learn the 84,000 teachings of the Buddha. Then you learn everything, but you don't know anything. Yeah? That's how most of us do it. We learn everything, but we don't know anything. So here the point is that if you learn one thing well, truly well, we know everything. This applies to those who are practicing other practices like deity practice. The same. One deity is the same as all deities. All right. So Buddha, who says so? Buddha himself said. Buddha in the King of the Meditation Sutra, Buddha said, just as you have come to know the false discrimination of yourself, that means once you know this, your confusion of holding to this truly existing I, once you are able to know that, then you apply this mentally to all phenomena. Once you know this one thing, emptiness of the I, you can apply this way of thinking to all phenomena. All phenomena are completely devoid of their own existence like space. So Buddha said, through one, all is known. Through one, all are seen. All are also seen. By seeing the emptiness of I, you will know the emptiness of everything. If you understand the emptiness of I, then you also see the emptiness of other things. Of course, this is a general statement. Huh? When you're actually practicing, it goes deeper than that. But that's the general thing. It becomes much easier. So that's how we're going to do today. A simplified contemplative meditation to look for the I. Contemplative means it's some form of analytical meditation. It is not just simply sitting there. It requires thinking because it's contemplation. So you all have to do it. Huh? You have to do it. You can keep your eyes open. You can keep your eyes closed. Doesn't matter. But no need to sit so straight. But you have to think. When I ask the question, you have to provide the answer within yourself. No need to tell me. Okay? That means you have to contemplate. All right? You have to contemplate. So, due to time, I will just go through it. Anyway, the session is recorded. The notes will be there. So you go back, you use the same method, and you can spend more time to look for the I. Okay? Yeah? So firstly, looking for the I. First question, who is the person, I or me? We don't even think about that, right? Me is me, or I is I. Here, I and me, I use it interchangeably. Yeah? Sometimes you say I, and say me. All right? It means the same thing in this context. So, who are you? Never think. Next time after this, or tonight when you go back home, or tomorrow, no need to go back home. I was saying that go back home, then tomorrow, then you look at mirror. Nowadays, no need. Just after class, you just take out your mobile phone and then just look at that mobile phone itself and you see your own face. Who is this guy there? Who are you? It's a very interesting question, no? Which we never ask ourselves. Who am I? Where am I? Who is this person I call me? Got think or not? If I say, who is the person whom I call me? Then you're like, looking around, then it's not meditation. This is the start of meditation, no? Yeah, at least you should think, yeah, I never think about that. Who am I? Huh? And you must think like that. If you don't even think like this, then it's not meditation, right? Not necessary that you will have an answer. The reason why we have no answer is because we have no wisdom. All right? So therefore, we are trying to develop wisdom. So since we are trying to develop wisdom, therefore, whatever answer we come up, maybe it's wrong, maybe it's right, whatever it is, doesn't matter. The point is investigate. You must investigate. Yeah, who am I? When we let's say somebody says, okay, outside got kueh. Who wants to eat? I want to eat. Then you say, I want to eat. That time, then you say, who is this I who say I want to eat? Then you, instead of going out straight away to eat the kueh, you sit down there and meditate, find out who is this I. Once you found the I, then you go and eat, okay? You cannot find the I, then since you cannot find the I, there's no need to rush and eat the cake. There's no I to eat the cake, right? So this is the way you do meditation, this type of meditation. So, okay. So just another question is, who is this person I? Then to start off, the way to do it is that we look at how I see this myself now, this me. When I say, oh, me, who did this? Me. That sort of thing. How we see it. So if you think about it, there seems to be a sense of me, a sense of me, or I existing quite independently. Okay. Same question. If I say, there's only one piece of cake outside, one piece of kueh. Who wants it? Then everyone, I want. Assuming, I want. Now when you say, I want, then you hold on a while, chotomate, pause, press. I want. Is that a feeling that really there's the I there that wants something? All right. So this sense of this I in your mind is very subtle. Okay, very, very subtle. It seems to be existing quite independently, on its own, quite separate from the physical body and the mind, and also unchanging over time. This morning, you eat breakfast or not? Yes, I ate breakfast. Now think. The I that ate breakfast this morning and the I that am now here, is it the same I or not? The feeling is the same I. Seems to be unchanging. All right? And that's how it is. The I that you had yesterday the I, maybe yesterday was Friday. So you went to office. Today is off day. The I that was yesterday and the I that is sitting here seems to be the same I. So subtly there's this concept within yourself that this I is not changing. All right? It's on its own. Then this I seems to be very apparent. Not so much here, like now I'm asking you, but in emotional situation, fear. Rain, fire! What happened? Zao, run. Why? Kiasu, whatever it is. This I immediately is there. Chong. Okay? There seems to be this I which is there. Right? Great fear. Or, for instance, when you are going to maybe tour or whatever it is in a mountain, the cliff area, there are no railings. Then you walk near. Hey, very scared. Or sometimes as you walk, maybe you slip a little bit. Wow. That I comes out. A truly existing I that does not wish to die, that is scared. That I seems to be something which is on its own, by itself, solidly existing. When you're angry, so angry, I was so angry, The I seems to be there. Happiness. This Saturday, $4 million total. I strike. One person alone, I strike. Happy, I'm so happy. That I, happiness, is coming out. So this I itself, what I'm trying to investigate, is quite subtle. And it's important to understand this process because later on, we're going to tell you that at this point, we're trying to prove to you that there's no I. Then after that, we're going to tell you that there's an I. So these two I are interrelated and yet not quite the same. Okay? Sadness. Something happened to you. So sad. When you think you're so sad. Then that sadness has nothing to do with your body. That sadness also nothing to do with your mind. It's just that I am sad. Or I am jealous. So whatever it is, when all this emotion, very strong emotional situation comes up, this I will come out. Then when the situation like now, quite calm, you're sitting there, this I seems to like hiding. Then when you examine like this, you cannot find it very well. But we need to learn the process. Once you learn the process itself, then when really you're out there in the office, wherever it is, when you're angry, then straightway you can use mindfulness and look at this I that is angry. What is this I that is angry? That's the time for you to examine the selflessness of I. Right? So this is the I. As I said, this is the I or me that we should identify clearly. You must identify it clearly. All right? And unmistakenly. Not only clearly, it must be unmistaken. And this is the I to be refuted as non-existence. The I that is fear, the I that is very scared, the The I that seems to be on its own, that I does not exist. All right? But there's an I, comes later. So now do some reflection on the I or me. So then the question is that, you can ask yourself the question, since the notes will be there. What am I doing now? Whatever it is. Then of course, for this case here, if you ask that question, what am I doing now? Now, I'm sitting here, right? This is very obvious, right? I'm sitting here doing meditation. Or I'm just sitting here, whatever it is. Isn't it? That's how we respond, right? What are you doing now? Oh, I'm sitting here. Or I'm watching TV, or I'm reading whatever. So that's the normal answer. Then, what do you really mean when you say, I'm sitting? I am sitting. Where is this I that is sitting? We just take for granted. I'm sitting, lor. Can't you see me? I'm sitting, lor. But let's go deeper. Where is this I that is sitting? We're trying to identify, to pinpoint this I. Can you specifically pinpoint and identify this I that is sitting? All right? So then we move forward. Now start to investigate, to look at this inherently self-established I or me. Then you search. First your answer is, I'm sitting, right? In fact, sometimes you will if you would ask this question to your husband, your wife, or your children at home, say, hey boy, what are you doing now? Then your son will say, sitting, lor. Show me who is the person that is sitting, who is the I that is sitting. Then the son replies, xiao ah, can't you see I'm sitting here? Right? I'm sitting here. Yeah, that's what we take for granted. So let's analyze. All right? Analyze. I am sitting. So what do we see? What we see is this body. Because when I say I am sitting, what you see is this body. Similarly, when you say I am sitting yourself, what you see is this body. This is called the 5 aggregates. The 5 aggregates is the first one is the form. The rest of the 4, form, feeling, discrimination, cognitive factors, and mental consciousness, these are the mind. So when you talk about the 5 aggregates, you can summarize it to be body and mind. Okay? To make things simple, body and mind. Because when you investigate further, then you can look at the feelings and all that, whether the feeling is I and all that. This way, Buddha taught the Satipatthana Sutra on the 4 foundation of mindfulness. But we don't go into so deep in this course. So just body and mind. Okay? We have the body, we have the mind. So then, let's start looking. Since there's an I here, if you think that there's I, you must be able to find, right? We must be able to identify. That means identify means point out. There. Usually when you say, how you know there's I? There. Me, can't you see me? What we see is the body, which is a combination of aggregates. So we investigate. Is the physical body me? Usually you say, who did it? Me lah. Then when you point like this, then I will ask a question. You mean this nose is you? Or we sometimes like doing certain things. Hey, who did that? Me lah. We hit our chest. Usually I will hit my chest, give some noise. But there's a mic there, so I don't do that. Usually at this point I will hit me lor. Hey, who did this? Me lor. Oh, you hit here, right? Or point at your chest area or your heart chakra area. Me. You mean this is me? This is you. So whatever this is it me lah? Okay lah. Cut out your nose lah. Since you point, say this is me, then we imagine mentally, nobody asks you to go and take a knife and cut up somebody. Mentally you cut out, okay, a nose. Is this, just now I pointed at this nose, this piece of flesh, say it is me. This is me or not? This is, no, this is my nose, not me. All right? So then, you put it aside. Where else? So like this, you look one part by one part. You cut up your right arms. Say, me. Oh, okay, cut off your right arms. Hold it up. Is this you? No, this is my arm. My arm. It's not me. Cut off another, left side. Is this you? Or is this me? When you do meditation, you should be using me, the word I. Is this me? No, this is my left arm. Cut off your right leg. Cut off your left leg. Cut off your head. Take it out. Is this me? This is my head. What is left is your body. Point at your body. Is this me? This is my body. Then where is me? Because when we first started, remember that this I is very subtle. It is our sense that when you say, what are you doing? I'm sitting. When you say, I'm sitting, the time is that truly the feeling is that there's I who's sitting. But when you analyze, when you cut up, try to identify, pinpoint, where exactly is I, you cannot find it. So, physical body, body parts, so you can go through. Take out your heart, take out your lungs, that means all the physical part, one by one. Where? Your nails, your hair. And then you can even separate into the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, wind, space, flesh. If you were to do it separately, you cut up your body, one bowl, you put all your flesh, skin and flesh. Another bowl, you put all your bones. Another bowl is all the blood. Okay? Then, that's it. Where is I? Where is the me that seems to be existing there before we started the operation? I cannot find. There's nothing there. What we see after when we dissected the thing, what we see is a bowl of flesh, a bowl of blood, a bowl of bones, and maybe all the organs or whatever it is. There's no me. Where has the me gone to? Where has this I? When we first started, we say, I am sitting. There's a sense that there is something solid there called I. And yet when we examine, we cannot find. Here in this case, within the physical body, we cannot find. Then we say, I know lah, you're trying to trick me only lah. Me is the mind lah, the mind that thinks what? We say body and mind, right? Okay lah, cannot find the I or the me in the bones or the physical aspect. Then me is the I lah. Okay, then we see. Is the mind me? Firstly, you see, mind is me. Show me where is your mind first. Show me where is the mind first. You want to say something is something, you must identify first. Let's say I ask you look for books. You say, oh, there's a certain book. First you show me the book. Point that this is the book, then we see whether it's the right title or not. You cannot even find the book, then why talk about what title, right? So similarly, point out, where's your mind? Or my mind, when I'm thinking, seems to be up here. When I'm mentally upset, emotionally upset, my mind seems to be here. When I'm dreaming, my mind seems to be outside somewhere. Where is the mind? Fine. So these are exercises where you just sit down there and you think, and you think, and you think, and investigate. And of course, when you do like this, there's no danger, except one small danger. You come out to the conclusion that I don't exist. I cannot find. That's the only thing. That's why we later on have to counteract. Okay. So then we say I is emotion. All right, I is emotion. But emotion, you say I is emotion, that means I is always changing. Because your emotion change. One moment you are happy, next moment you are sad. That means this I is changing. Once this I is changing, means it's not inherently existing. Because when you say inherently existing, means something that is permanent, doesn't change. Right? Remember those definitions which you have set up in the earlier sessions. So, are those emotions I or not? As I say, maybe you'll not get the answer. Doesn't matter. It is at this point, as beginners, our idea is to throw spanas into the clockwork. We have this clockwork which seems to be running well, and because of habitual tendency, innate tendency, that we believe it is like that. So now we throw spana inside to test it really it is solid or not. Right? You want to see something is real or not, we test it. We throw things inside. So you ask these sort of questions. Don't get answer, never mind. But the fact that you ask questions, you start to have certain doubts. Some hesitation. Never think about that. Seems to be like cannot find. Seems to be no I. That itself is already very good. Because Buddha himself said that even to the mere extent that we start to doubt the reality, doubt we doubt that things are solidly existing, we have doubts on that. That itself purifies a lot of negative karma. Okay? So, we doubt. So then, also, we analyzing the possible way in which the inherently self-established I can exist. So just now, we were saying, going through the physical body, right? Whether the I is the physical body or the I is the mind, right? So then, now we see I maybe is the body and mind. Okay, first we say, is I the same as means exactly the same, or apart or separate from the body? So just now we say that we cut the body up, right? We say that, oh, no, there's no I, cannot find I. You cannot cut the body up like this. I is the body lah. I combine all this. When you say I must be the head, must be the body, must be the both arms and legs. I is like that lah, right? So we can argue and say that I, we identify as the whole body. Then if that's the case, this point get it or not? Okay? Firstly, we cut up the body, right? Then you may say, I play cheat lah. Can I play cheat lah? When I say I'm referring to this body, combine one. You cannot go and cut off my head and all that and then say find the I. Combine lah. Everything is there and that's me lah. So if this is me, combine. Now we're talking about just one solid body. So if that's me, then why we say my body? Why we say my body? My body very tired. When you say my body very tired, it's just like saying that my handphone. There's an owner. There is a object that is being owned. My handphone, right? I'm the owner of the handphone. Two separate things. So if we say that this body, this whole body is I. Then when we say my body, what does it imply? We're not playing with the English, the word sentences, all that, but it's the feeling. You go and walk shopping. My body is so aching. When you say that at the time, what is the feeling? That there's an I who owns the body. And if that's the feeling, then I cannot be the body. I cannot be the same as one with the body. Clear on this? My body, my head so painful. My head. The owner is my, which is I, owns a head, which is part of the body, painful. So there's an I outside. So then you say, oh, in that case, I accept I and body separate. This is how some of the other religious beliefs, they have that. That's why, oh, there's a soul, something separate. Right? I and body separate. So if it is two separate things, all right, if it's two separate things, then if you see this physical body sitting there, how can you say that I'm sitting there? What you see what you really see is just this physical body. Then you say, oh, Palzang is sitting there. It's not right. Maybe my soul is back home sleeping, man. Because you say that body, I and body are separate things, right? So once they're separate things, they can go separate way. Right? So how can you say that Venerable Palzang is sitting here? So similarly, when I ask, Adrian, are you here? Yes, I'm here. Are you sure Adrian is there? What we see is only his body, ma. Adrian is not here. What we perceive is only his body. And we say that Adrian, this I, the Adrian I, and the body are two separate things. Maybe Adrian is shopping in the Orchard Road. What we see is body. Then how can you say that I'm here? How can Adrian say that I'm here? Adrian can only say, I'm here. It's because his physical body is here. Therefore, the I and physical body cannot be separated. Because if his physical body is not here, we cannot hear a voice. I am here. I'm Adrian. I'm here. We only see the physical body. We see somebody coming in. Peter is here. When we see his physical body. So this I, when I say I am here, present, I'm present. This I and body cannot separate. So again, cannot find. Right? Then I, same as the mind or not, go through the same thing. If I, same as the mind, then we will not say, oh, my mind is so confused. Again, the same mind. There's the owner. It means indicating this separate. So similarly, if we separate, we will end up with the same situation. I'm going a bit faster. So then, you can go through another way. Then you say, okay, body and mind. We always thought about body and mind combined. So again, you go through the same analysis to look. Body and mind combination. Can it be separate or not? Or can it be the same? So when you look at all the possibilities, possible way of existence, you will come to your result of searching. I'm going through, as I said, just very briefly, because the analysis here can be quite deep, but you get the idea. The result of the searching is that you cannot find or identify an inherently self-established I. The I that you find is always either associated with the body, or associated with the mind, or associated with the body and mind. Other than that, you cannot find. So that's the result. you cannot find or identify the me that is self-sufficient or substantially existent. That means you cannot find an inherently existing I. Getting chima. Anyway, conclusion already. Your meditation coming to the end. What is the conclusion? Okay? Conclusion is that although there's a sense that there's I, but I cannot find a permanent, unitary, independent I. That does not exist. Remember, we started by saying that I am sitting here. So the idea is that there's an I. But that I cannot find. Anything that cannot find after thorough searching, many, many times, anything they cannot find, you say, don't have lah, right? If I ask you to look for something, then you search everywhere. To find it, say, don't have lah. Really don't have. I say, you find or not? Yeah, I found. I searched everywhere. Don't have. I cannot find. So you come to this conclusion that there's no I. Therefore, this I, or independently existing I, is selfless. It is not there, right? Therefore, this me is selfless. And yet, the conclusion is not just that there's no I, but yet there exists a conventional and functional I on the basis of body and mind complex. When your body moves from here to there, what you say? I walk from here to there. When I say I am here, what does it mean? It means my body and mind is here, therefore I am here. If my body and mind is not here, you cannot say I am here. Right? So there's this I which exists, which function, that is on the basis of this. So now come to this conclusion. Why do you say I am sitting here? The first question. What are you doing? I am sitting here. Second question. Why you say you are sitting here? I am sitting here. Why I say I am sitting here is because my body, my mind is located here, and on that basis, there is a name given to this body-mind combination called I. And on that basis, I am sitting here. Other than this I, there's no truly existing I. Because if you do not investigate, that means on a conventional level, on a functional level, if you do not investigate, yes, I'm sitting here. I'm drinking water. I'm eating food. So it's functionally there's an I. But once you go deeper into it to investigate, you cannot find an I. So on a conventional level, there is an I. Because if there's no I, then you all should not be sitting here. Or I should not be seeing you, then my eyes will be something wrong. I see everybody. So you all do exist. But you exist on a conventional level. Why I say you are there? Because your body is there and your mind is there. If only your mind is there, I cannot see you. If it's a body is there, without the mind, then it's a corpse. I cannot say you are there. So the reason why you are there is because there's a body, your mind inside your body, I say you are there. That's how we perceive on a conventional way. All right? And when I see you like writing or eating, I say, oh, you are writing. Oh, you are sitting on a chair. Because I see your physical body seated on the chair with the mind. So therefore, oh, you are sitting there. So conventionally, there's I. And that's how we operate. Because you have an IC, you have a name, you have all the other things, right, given to you. So you exist. But when you investigate deep into it, you cannot find this I. So these are the two things. So other than this I, which is being labeled on the basis of the five aggregates, the body and mind, there's no other I. So there's an I. This I is based on body and mind combination, and a label, a name given to it, given to itself. The mind looks at this and say, I. It's very much similar to what, no? When you look at the mirror or your mobile phone, you look at the picture, this me, looks handsome. It's only a reflection. And that reflection is the reflection of the mind. The mind itself is like a mirror. It reflects on it. That means my mind looks at all this and says, yeah, that's me. But some movies where somebody wake up, then the whole body being changed, right? Maybe they gone through operation or whatever it is, they maybe become unconscious, and then they change everything facially and all that. Then they wake up, look at me. Who's that? Because in the past you associate me or I with this sort of feature, with very nice feature. And then somebody, while you are unconscious, somebody did an operation or that sort of thing, and then change your nose to big nose, big eyes, big mouth, big ears. Then you look at the mirror. Who's that? Right? So the mirror is just like that. It's just a reflection of whatever it is. And based on what we are familiar with, our mind just give it a name and say, that's me. So when I look at my familiar face, I say, oh, that's Palzang. And when that is changed, they say, don't recognize. Right? So, therefore, this I that exists is just a label, a name given by our mind based on these 5 aggregates. Other than that, there's no other I. So, then how does this... So we say that when we investigate for the I, independently existing I, we cannot find. And yet we say now there's an I that operates. How does this I comes about? This I comes about by depending on body, by depending on mind, and the body itself by depending on the head, by depending on the arms, by depending on the... all this coming together. And the mind itself by depending on the mental consciousness, the mental continuum from the past until now. That whole thing combined together. These are all the causes and conditions coming together as one entity, and then we call this I. Other than that, other than this name I, there's no truly independently existing I. So, what sort of wisdom you have developed? First, there's the ultimate truth. We call that 2 truth. 2 level of truth. The ultimate truth. The I is selfless. It does not exist inherently on its own side. That means ultimately, you search for the I, you cannot find. There's also a conventional truth. The I does exist functionally, and the way it exists is through interdependent origination. Now you understand how important is the first 2 sessions when we talk about interdependent origination, how things come together interdependently. Our whole I comes about because of this dependent origination. So when we say this I, functionally, you see an I. And this I comes about through dependent origination, means through many things, all coming together. Therefore, since this I is existing because of dependent origination, this I is selfless. It's devoid of inherent existence. Therefore, this I is selfless. That's why we say the selflessness of the I. That is the conclusion. Now, with this wisdom, you can truly see the real me. Otherwise, when you look at the mirror, you really think that there's an I existing on its own side. So, conclusion, Buddha said, just as a chariot is verbalized independence on collection of parts, so conventionally, a sentient being is set up depending on mental and physical aggregates. So, of course, during Buddha's time, they talk about chariots. They don't talk about cars, right? So chariot, it's a horse chariot, or car, let's say a car. A car is a dependent of collection of parts. We already explained. A car has an engine, has a body, has the 4 wheels and all that sort of thing we know. All right? So it's a collection of this, and then it's verbalized. Mentally, we give a name and say, this is a car. We don't say with the 4 wheels and say this is an aeroplane or it's a cup. No, we call it a car. We all agree. That's conventional. We all agree that this thing with the engine got 4 wheels can move one. We call this a car. We don't call it a cup or a shoe. Okay? So conventionally, we accept that. So this is how a car comes about. So therefore, it says, just like a car or a chariot is verbalized, means mentally given the name, independence on a collection of parts. So in the same way, conventionally, a sentient being, that means me, you, and everything else, is set up depending on the mental, mind, and physical aggregate together. Other than that, there's no independently existing sentient beings. And that's where, in the Heart Sutra, there's no eyes, no nose. Look for a nose. Oh, nose is here. Okay, assume you cut out. This is the nose. Analyze, but I see only this. Where's the nose? Then you cut. By the time you cut everything, there's nothing left. There's no nose. And that's the meaning of no inherently existing nose. So when you recite the Heart Sutra, no eyes, no ear, no nose, that's the meaning. That's the ultimate truth. No inherently existing nose or eyes. But conventionally, got eyes not? Yes. So the eyes you can see, nose you can smell. So some people read the Heart Sutra and say, oh, there's no nose now. Everything no, like everything empty. And then they talk as though like they really know. And some lamas will say that everything is empty, then actually your knowledge also is empty because you don't know what they're talking about. So that's not wisdom. True wisdom, understand that it's just a lack of inherent existence. So the truth is very important. Ultimate truth, when you analyze, everything is empty. Lack of inherent existence. Conventionally, it is there. It functions, and therefore, it is there. So, on that basis, ultimately, everything is empty. Conventionally, everything is there, and we operate on the middle path. Operating on the true truth. Then you'll be okay. Other than this, ultimately, the person is selfless. That's the meaning of selflessness of I. So anyway, coming to the last slide. Some of you asked question where to get more information and all that. This is a good book that I recommend. It is quite readable, easy to read. His Holiness Dalai Lama explained it in a very simple way. Some of the quotation and the verses, I took it from this book. So you may want to read this book. I think there's an e-book on this also. So anyway, just to let you know how to see yourself as you really are. The meditation, part of the meditation, is also found in this book. It's not a very big book. It's about this thickness. So far I've seen it's hardcover. Okay, so, yeah. Question? No question. What's the explanation so clear, right? Yeah, any questions? Yes?
Venerable, since you say there's no I, and does it mean there is rebirth, but not my rebirth? Because then what's the connection between, the whole cycle of rebirth? That this is like my rebirth for the life. You get me?
True. When you say, so the question is that since there's no I, then what is the connection between rebirth? All right? Yeah, that's my rebirth. Yeah. Firstly, there's no I, then there's no my rebirth. But there is this thing called mental continuum. What takes rebirth? It's not you. really what takes rebirth. Although conventionally we say, I will die, then I will take rebirth. Remember, we were talking about conventionally, there's this I with this body, then we will die. Then when we die, this body will be put into will be burned to ashes. All right? But the mental continuum goes on. That mental continuum is not an I in the sense that it is not something that is permanently unchanging. This mental continuum is like the flow of mental consciousness, like in a river. That mental continuum goes to take rebirth. Is that the I or not? There is the mental continuum, but there's not something which is solidly existing on its own side. So yes, there's this mental continuum which carries the imprint of karma, of attachment, of grasping, of ignorance. And that mental continuum will take rebirth. But once you release, once you have the wisdom that realizes emptiness of the I, then that mental continuum, will it exist? It will continue to exist. Just like a river, it's continue to exist. But is it the same river? Let's say when we stand on the river side, some river, then it's down there. Then tomorrow, we come and see again. To us, same river, right? You go to Singapore River, you look at it 10 years ago and now, same river. But of course, when you look in terms of detail, change. Firstly, not only the external change, the water itself is different. Every moment, when you're looking at the river at this point, this moment is this lot of water. Next moment, that water already gone. Some other thing. This is called mental continuum. So is there a river? Of course there's a river. There's a flow of water. So similarly, there's a flow of mental consciousness. But it's not the same. It is changing. And since it's changing, there's not an inherently existing I. That mind itself also, since the mind is not inherently existing, the mind is not able to sustain by itself on its own, that mind is selfless. So the mind is also empty. So in that sense, while there's rebirth, but the nature of the mind is also empty. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Ask how you apply this concept in practice. So when you see flower, so you just see and you drop the eye.
Okay. So the question is, how do we apply this way of thinking in our daily life in terms of seeing flower and all that? That is akan datang next week. Emptiness or selflessness of phenomena. Once we use the same principle, then we start to look at everything, including our emotion and all that. Okay? Yeah. Any other question? Okay, so if not, there is a possibility that today is the fourth session. The fifth session is selflessness of phenomena. Then maybe this short course may end with the sixth session. That means I will combine the sixth and the seventh session together as one session. All right? Really depends on, the subject is very broad. But if most of you are listening to this first time, it's not so advisable to go so deep into it. It creates a lot of confusion. So best just to give you a broad framework as to what is the meaning of dependent origination and how dependent origination means emptiness or selflessness. And yet when we talk about no self, something is there because it is dependent origination. Once you have this concept, foundation there, then it's easy for you in the future to explore this subject deeper. So, as I said, I will decide by next week whether we will stop this short course on the sixth session instead of the seventh. I will let you know next week. Any questions? Okay, no questions. So it's already quite late today. Sorry about that. So next session, selflessness of phenomena. So dedication. Through the merits of these virtuous actions, May I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood and lead all living beings without exception into the enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow. May that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. May the supreme view of emptiness that has not arisen arise and grow. May that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Okay, so thank you very much.